Chapter 1. Reconnecting with what lights you up. Before you reinvent yourself, you must first remember yourself. Not the version of you shaped by pressure, fear, or expectations. The real you. The part of you that existed long before you were told what was practical, realistic, or responsible. That part of you is still alive. Maybe quieter now, maybe buried under responsibilities and distractions, but it's there, waiting. This chapter is an excavation. A gentle but powerful return to your essence. Because to move forward with clarity, you must first remember what made you feel most alive. The problem with growing up. Here's what often happens. We grow up with wonder. As children, we explore naturally. We dance without fear of judgment, draw without comparing, dream without limits. But slowly, layer by layer, we're taught to tame that part of ourselves. School tells us to focus on what's useful. Society teaches us to chase status over satisfaction. Family expectations may nudge us towards safety rather than passion. And so, like sediment settling at the bottom of a river, our true desires sink under the weight of obligation. Eventually, we forget what once set our soul on fire. Reinvention starts with remembering. Because it's impossible to build a meaningful future when you've lost connection to what matters most. Why passion matters. This isn't just about doing what you love, as a cute motivational slogan. Passion is more than a hobby or side hustle. Passion is fuel. It drives creativity, resilience, and joy. It brings color to a world that too often feels gray. When you operate from passion, you tap into a deeper level of energy. You stop dragging yourself through tasks and start moving through life with purpose. Even when things get hard, and they will, your passion keeps you rooted. It reminds you why you're here. But to live with passion, you first have to find it again. A journey back to yourself. Let's start at the beginning. Your true beginning. Take a deep breath, and time travel for a moment. What did you love as a child before anyone told you what you should love? What activities made you lose track of time? When were you happiest, most curious, most alive? Maybe you loved drawing castles, making up stories, fixing broken toys, or exploring the backyard like it was a jungle. These aren't just childhood memories, they're clues. Indicators of how your mind naturally engages with the world. Write them down. No filtering. No judgment. Just observe. Now ask yourself, what brings me energy now? Not what I should enjoy, but what actually lights me up. Are there moments in my week when I feel genuinely excited? What would I still do if no one paid me or gave me approval? These answers matter. They're whispers from your core. Excavating the forgotten you. Many people say, I don't know what I'm passionate about. But the truth is, they've just been out of touch with that part of themselves for too long. So let's reconnect. Try this exercise. The fulfillment flashback. Make a list of 5 moments in your life when you felt deeply fulfilled. Not just happy, but lit up inside. Engaged. Energized. Think across work, personal life, travel, relationships, creativity, or service. For each memory, write what you were doing, who you were with, or if you were alone, how you felt, what made it meaningful. Look for patterns. Were you solving problems, creating something, connecting deeply, leading others, exploring new ideas? Those patterns are the DNA of your passion. Reigniting the flame. Now that you've uncovered some of what lights you up, it's time to bring it into your present life. Not later. You don't need to quit your job, move to Bali, or start a non-profit tomorrow, unless that's calling you. But you do need to stop treating passion like an afterthought. Ask yourself, how can I bring more of what I love into my current life? What's one small way I could honor that passion this week? What have I been putting off because it felt impractical? Small steps matter. Take a dance class. Start that blog. Volunteer. Pick up your old guitar. Reconnect with curiosity. Feed your spirit, not just your to-do list. What's in the way? As you start rediscovering what excites you, don't be surprised if resistance shows up. You'll hear thoughts like, "This is silly. I don't have time. I'm not good at this anymore. It's too late." These aren't facts. They're echoes of fear. Self-protection dressed up as logic. You are allowed to pursue joy without needing it to be profitable, perfect, or productive. Passion is valid because it's real, not because it checks someone else's boxes. Reinvention requires you to value your soul's whispers more than the world's noise. Permission to evolve. Here's the truth. The version of you that fit into your old life isn't required for your next chapter. Maybe your past passions led you down one path, and now you feel pulled in a new direction. That's okay. Identities are not prisons. You are allowed to evolve. Reinvention is not betrayal, it's expansion. You don't have to explain your joy to anyone. You don't have to justify what feels right. You just have to listen. The passion compass. As you move forward, let your passions become a compass, not a map. They won't give you all the answers. They might not reveal a perfect career or a clear plan, but they will point you in the right direction. And in the process of following them, you will become more of yourself. This chapter is not just about finding what you love. It's about giving yourself permission to love it out loud. Your invitation. So here it is, your invitation back to yourself. You are not here to numb out, settle in, or shrink to fit someone else's mold. You are here to explore, to create, to feel deeply and live fully. And your passions, those forgotten sparks, are the way home. This week, do one thing that excites your soul. Just one. No pressure. No performance. Just joy. Because the first step in becoming who you're meant to be is remembering who you've always been. Reflection questions. What did you love doing as a child? When in your life have you felt most energized and alive? What activities or experiences make you lose track of time today? What parts of your current life feel out of alignment with what brings you joy? What's one small way you could start honoring your passions this week? Action step. Pick one passion, just one. Do something with it this week. Not because it's productive, because it's you. Keep a journal of how you feel before, during, and after. Passion leaves a trail. Follow it. Chapter 2. Designing your future with clarity. You cannot build a life you love by accident. Without clarity, we drift. We wake up, go through the motions, handle our obligations, and call it living. We confuse movement with meaning and busyness with purpose. Days turn into years, and suddenly we wonder, how did I get here? This chapter is your wake-up call. Your future will not design itself. If you want to reinvent your life, you need a blueprint. Not a rigid plan, but a living, breathing vision that excites you, guides you, and gives your choices direction. This is where your future begins. Not someday, not when things calm down, but now. Why you need a vision. Think of your life like a ship. Without a destination, you'll drift with the tide, pulled by external circumstances, other people's opinions, and unconscious habits. But when you have a clear vision, you become the captain. The waves may still come, but you know where you're headed. A vision gives your decisions weight. It helps you say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. It turns vague goals into intentional action. Your vision is not about perfection. It's not a fantasy or a wish. It's a vivid declaration of who you're choosing to become. Start with identity, not goals. Most people set goals like this: I want to lose weight, I want to earn more, or I want to be happier. But goals without identity rarely stick. Reinvention doesn't start with what you want. It starts with who you want to be. Before you make a list of what to do, define the person you want to become. Your future self. The version of you who already lives the life you desire. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? How does that version of me think, speak, and act? What do they value most? How do they show up in the world? You're not just chasing goals. You're building a life that matches who you are becoming. Visualize with detail. Vague dreams produce vague results. If you want your vision to guide your actions, you need to make it real. So real that your brain begins to believe it's possible. Try this. Close your eyes and imagine your life 3 to 5 years from now. You've reinvented yourself. You've stepped into your power. Everything feels aligned. Now, describe it with detail. Where are you waking up? What does your space look like? What's the energy? What's your morning routine? Are you journaling, exercising, meditating, cooking? What kind of work are you doing? How do you feel about it? Who are you spending time with? What kinds of conversations are you having? What does your body feel like? Healthy, energized, at ease? How do you feel emotionally? Peaceful, excited, grounded? Don't rush this. Let it unfold in your mind like a movie. The more specific your vision, the more your subconscious will start looking for ways to bring it to life. Write your vision like a story. Once you've visualized it, put it into words. Write the story of your future day. Start with, "It's 3 years from now, and I've become the person I always knew I could be." Then describe your day from start to finish. Write in the present tense, as if it's happening now. This activates your imagination in powerful ways. It tricks your mind into thinking it's already real, making it easier to take action that aligns with it. Make your story honest. Make it bold. Make it yours. Bridge the gap. Reverse engineer your vision. Now that you know what you want, it's time to get practical. We reverse engineer dreams by turning them into steps. Let's say your vision includes being a confident speaker. That's the outcome. Now ask, what's the skill I need to develop? What's the first step toward developing it? What habit supports this identity? Maybe that means joining a local speaking group, practicing videos weekly, or studying communication techniques. Or maybe your vision includes being your own boss. What knowledge do I need? What platform or product could I start building? What are the first 3 things I can do this month? When you break your vision into bite-sized steps, you reduce overwhelm and increase momentum. Remember, your dream doesn't die from failure. It dies from waiting. Build identity-based habits. Let's anchor your vision into daily life. You don't need to become your future self overnight. You practice becoming them, habit by habit. For example, if your future self is fit and energetic, start walking daily, stretching, or prepping healthy meals. If your future self is creative and focused, set a timer for 20 minutes and write, draw, build, anything. If your future self is calm and grounded, meditate, breathe, or unplug for 15 minutes a day. You are not waiting to become that person. You're already becoming them, with every aligned action you take. Align your environment. You can't grow if your surroundings pull you backward. Your environment, the people, places, and digital spaces you interact with, must reflect your new identity, not reinforce your old one. Audit your environment. Do the people around me reflect the life I want to create? Does my home or workspace energize me, or drain me? Do I follow accounts, read books, and consume content that aligns with my vision? Small shifts can create massive impact. Curate your surroundings like you would curate your future. Let it evolve. Your vision isn't set in stone. You're allowed to revise it. In fact, you should. As you grow, your values may shift. Your desires may sharpen. Your clarity may deepen. Check in every 6 months. Is this vision still exciting? What parts of it have changed? What new desires are showing up? Adjust your blueprint without guilt. You're not flaky, you're evolving. Don't wait for confidence. You don't need to be confident to start. You just need to start. Clarity builds confidence. Action builds belief. Most people wait to feel ready before they move. But readiness is a myth. The people who transform their lives don't wait until the fear disappears. They move with the fear. Trust that if this vision is in your heart, it's there for a reason. Your job isn't to predict every step. It's to move one step at a time, with intention. The power of decision. There's a moment in every reinvention where you stop dabbling and start deciding. That moment is powerful. It's when you stop asking for permission and start acting with purpose. When you stop adjusting yourself to fit your past and start designing your future. That moment can be right now. Reflection questions. Who do I want to become in the next 3 to 5 years? What does a day in my ideal life look like? What values guide my vision? What habits would my future self practice daily? What's one small step I can take this week to begin? Action step. Write your vision story. Spend 15 to 30 minutes writing in the present tense about your ideal day 3 years from now. Include everything: morning routine, emotions, people, work, health, and mindset. Then choose one micro-action to bring part of that day to life this week. Even the smallest step forward is a vote for your future. Chapter 3. Breaking the Cycle of the Familiar. You cannot become a new version of yourself while living inside the habits of your old life. Reinvention requires more than hope and vision. It demands action. But not just any action. Aligned action. Repeated. Reinforced. Embedded. And yet, most people struggle here. They dream big, feel inspired, even take a few bold steps, and then slide right back into the comfort of the familiar. Not because they're weak. Not because they don't care. But because their daily habits, their default systems, are wired for who they used to be. Your identity isn't just shaped by what you believe. It's built through what you do, consistently. So if you want a new life, you have to dismantle the old one, habit by habit. The invisible architecture of habit. Look around your life. Your routines, your patterns, your behaviors, they weren't consciously chosen. Not all of them. Most were shaped through repetition, environment, culture, and emotion. You didn't design the system. You inherited it. But that system is powerful. Habits are like code. Once installed, they run automatically. You brush your teeth without thinking. You reach for your phone when you're bored. You check email before you've even had water. The challenge is this: your current habits were designed to sustain your current life. They were programmed by an identity that you're now outgrowing. To reinvent yourself, you must rewrite the code. The habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Every habit follows a pattern, whether conscious or not. Cue, a trigger, internal or external. Routine, the behavior that follows. Reward, the feeling/result that reinforces it. Let's say you're stressed. That's the cue. You open your favorite app and scroll. That's the routine. You feel momentarily distracted, numbed, or entertained. That's the reward. Now imagine this cycle happening 30, 40, 50 times a week. Your brain learns, when I feel stress, I scroll. I get relief. And soon, it stops asking questions. It just runs the program. The same thing happens with procrastination, self-criticism, overthinking, or emotional eating. But here's the good news: if you can build a habit, you can break and replace one too. Identifying your anchor habits. Before you change anything, awareness is key. Ask yourself, what are the patterns I keep repeating that no longer serve me? What moments in the day make me feel depleted, distracted, or defeated? What small choices do I make that lead to big misalignment? You don't need to judge yourself. Just observe. Start by identifying 2 to 3 habits you want to shift. Not all at once. Start small. Go deep. Example: mindlessly scrolling late at night. Reaching for sugar during emotional dips. Hitting snooze for an hour instead of starting the day intentionally. These aren't just time wasters. They're identity holders. They tether you to who you used to be. Replace, don't just remove. Here's what doesn't work: trying to stop a habit without replacing it. Why? Because habits don't disappear. They get redirected. If you want to stop scrolling when anxious, you need a new ritual to deal with that emotion, like deep breathing, stretching, or journaling. If you want to stop emotional eating, you need new tools for self-soothing, like music, walking, talking to a friend, or lighting a candle and breathing intentionally. The key is to meet the same need in a healthier way. Not deprive yourself, but upgrade the response. Create friction for old habits. If you want to stop a habit, make it harder to access. The more steps it takes, the more your brain resists doing it. Examples. Want to stop staying up late binge watching? Unplug your TV or set an app lock for streaming platforms at 10 p.m. Want to break the habit of checking your phone first thing in the morning? Charge it in another room. Want to reduce junk food? Keep it out of sight, or better yet, out of the house. Old habits thrive in ease. Make them inconvenient. Make new habits obvious, easy, and rewarding. Just like we create resistance for old habits, we create flow for new ones. The easier it is to start a habit, the more likely it is to stick. Try this. Lay your gym clothes out the night before. Keep your journal open on your desk. Put your water bottle on your pillow so you remember to hydrate in the morning. The simpler the start, the better. You're not trying to climb a mountain. You're building momentum. And always link new habits to positive emotions. Celebrate your small wins. Your brain needs rewards to lock in a habit loop. Stacking habits. Build on what already exists. You don't have to create new time. You just need to attach new behaviors to existing routines. This is called habit stacking. Example. After I make coffee, I'll write in my journal for 5 minutes. After I brush my teeth, I'll repeat an empowering affirmation. After I finish work, I'll go for a 10-minute walk. This makes habits automatic because they're triggered by things you already do. Identity-based change. Here's the most powerful shift of all. Focus on becoming the kind of person who does the habit, not just someone who's trying to change. Don't say, "I'm trying to be more productive." Say, "I am someone who protects their time." Don't say, "I'm trying to eat healthy." Say, "I am someone who fuels my body with care." When you align your habits with your new identity, you're no longer forcing change. You're living it. What to do when you fall off track? You will break your streak. Miss a day. Slip into an old pattern. That's normal. What matters isn't perfection. It's your response. Most people mess up once, then spiral. See, I knew I couldn't stick with it. Why even try? This is the real danger, not the mistake, but the meaning you attach to it. Instead, reframe. I'm human. This is part of the process. I slipped, but I'm still in the game. I don't have to restart, I just have to continue. Consistency isn't about never falling. It's about getting up faster each time. Track it, celebrate it, reinforce it. Track your habits, not to obsess, but to stay conscious. Use a simple habit tracker, a journal, or a calendar. Check off each day you follow through. This visual feedback creates motivation. And when you hit a milestone, celebrate it. Not with something that contradicts the habit, but with something that reinforces your new identity. Finished a week of early workouts? Buy that book you've been eyeing. Hit 30 days of meditation? Treat yourself to a calming space upgrade. Celebration is not fluff, it's fuel. The compound effect. Small wins, massive shifts. Changing one habit might not seem life-altering. But here's the secret, everything is connected. When you stop snoozing, you gain an extra hour of focus. When you meditate for 10 minutes, you speak with more clarity. When you stop procrastinating, you open space for creativity. When you stop seeking comfort in food, you learn how to self-soothe in empowering ways. Each change ripples into the rest of your life. Over time, small shifts become seismic. Your old life will try to pull you back. Your old habits are familiar. They're comfortable. They're wired into your nervous system. So when you start shifting, expect resistance. People around you might not get it. Your own mind might tell you to quit. Your body might crave the old pattern. Don't be surprised by this. Expect it. Prepare for it. And when it comes, smile and say, "That's just my old self trying to hang on. But I've outgrown that version." Reflection questions. What current habits or routines are keeping me stuck in an old identity? What emotions or situations tend to trigger those behaviors? What habits would my future self practice every day? What's one old habit I can make harder to access? What's one new habit I can make easier to start? Action step. Pick one habit this week. One to eliminate or replace. One to establish or strengthen. Create a cue for the new habit. Reduce friction. Add a small reward. Then commit to it for the next 7 days. Track it. Reflect on it. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for momentum. Chapter 4. Cultivating Inner Strength. Reinvention sounds exciting, empowering, bold, and it is. But if we're honest, it's also messy. The process of changing your life from the inside out isn't just about clarity, vision, or breaking old habits. It's about learning how to endure the discomfort that comes with becoming someone new. Because you will be tested. Reinvention is not a straight line. It's a spiral. You'll take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You'll feel fired up one day and doubt everything the next. You'll face fears, outgrow people, fail publicly, and question yourself. This is not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're growing. And growth requires resilience, the inner strength to keep going, even when your circumstances, your feelings, or your inner critic try to convince you to give up. This chapter is about building that strength. The truth about resilience. Resilience isn't about being unshakable. It's not about staying strong in a way that suppresses emotion or denies pain. Real resilience is flexible, not rigid. It bends, but doesn't break. It means learning how to get knocked down and stand back up, wiser, not bitter. It means feeling fear, but still moving forward. It means making space for your doubt and still choosing your vision. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's a skill, a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets stronger through intentional training. Discomfort is your teacher. We live in a world obsessed with comfort. Instant gratification. Fast answers. Convenient solutions. But the truth is, reinvention lives outside your comfort zone. And every single breakthrough is preceded by a moment of discomfort. Discomfort isn't a threat, it's a signal. It means you're stepping beyond the familiar. It means you're rewiring old patterns. It means you're growing. Instead of asking, how do I avoid discomfort? Ask, how can I become more capable of holding it? Growth doesn't come from always feeling safe. It comes from learning how to stay present even when things feel uncertain. Reframing struggle. From setback to signal. When you're in the middle of a hard moment, a failure, a delay, a painful emotion, it's easy to spiral. You start telling yourself, this isn't working. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. I should just go back to what I know. But this is your old identity talking. Your old self was built to survive, not to thrive. And when you start disrupting its familiar patterns, it panics. Here's your reframe. Struggle is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of transformation. Think about it. Muscles tear before they grow. Butterflies fight through cocoons. Forests regrow after fire. So when things get tough, ask, what is this teaching me? What part of me is being refined? How can I use this pain as fuel? The challenge isn't the enemy. The story you tell about it is. Mastering your mindset. Your thoughts are not just background noise. They shape your reality. In fact, your mindset is the filter through which you experience life. If you want to build resilience, you need to learn how to manage that filter. Common disempowering thought patterns. Catastrophizing. If I fail, it's over. All or nothing thinking. If I mess up once, it means I'm a failure. Comparison. They're so far ahead, I'll never catch up. Imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. These thoughts aren't facts. They're habits of thinking. And like any habit, they can be changed. Practice cognitive reframing. I failed. I learned something valuable. This is too hard. This is where I grow. I'm behind. I'm on my own timeline. Train your mind to look for possibility instead of panic. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about intentional perspective. Build emotional agility. Resilient people don't avoid their emotions. They process them. They feel them. And then they choose what to do next. Emotional agility means learning how to name what you're feeling without judgment. Understand the message behind the emotion. Move through it instead of getting stuck in it. For example, fear often signals a perceived risk. What do you need to feel more prepared? Anger can reveal a boundary that was crossed. What needs to be said? Sadness may point to something you need to grieve or let go of. The more you understand your emotions, the less power they have over you. Emotional strength is not found in avoidance. It's found in awareness. Your body is a resilience tool. You cannot separate your mind from your body. When your nervous system is overwhelmed, your thinking becomes clouded. You make reactive choices. You spiral into worst-case scenarios. To build true resilience, you must regulate your nervous system. This means returning to a calm, grounded state, even in the middle of chaos. Practices that help. Deep breathing, box breathing, 4, 7, 8 breath. Grounding techniques, naming 5 things you see, hear, feel. Movement, walk, stretch, shake. Cold exposure, splash cold water on your face or take a cold shower. Sleep, nutrition, hydration. These aren't just wellness trends. They're tools of transformation. Use them. Resilience through connection. You don't have to be strong alone. One of the most underrated sources of resilience is community. A friend who reminds you who you are. A mentor who helps you zoom out. A voice that says, "Keep going, I've been there too." Resilient people seek support, not because they're weak, but because they understand something powerful. We rise better together. Surround yourself with people who hold space without judgment. Remind you of your vision when you forget. Celebrate your effort, not just your success. Push you to keep growing, even when it's hard. And be that person for someone else too. Your why is your anchor. You will want to give up. Not once, many times. The path will feel uncertain. The work will feel heavy. And your old life will whisper, "It was easier back there." That's why you need a deep, personal reason to keep going. A why that isn't about looking good or proving something, but about becoming the person you're meant to be. Ask yourself, why does this reinvention matter to me? What pain will I avoid if I stay the same? What joy will I experience if I follow through? Write it down. Read it often. Let it pull you through the hard days. Discipline may get you started, but purpose is what keeps you going. Expect setbacks. Build bounce-back plans. Resilience isn't about never falling. It's about learning how to bounce back faster. When, not if, a setback happens. Pause. Breathe. Don't react immediately. Acknowledge your emotions. Without shame. Ask, what happened? What did I learn? Reconnect to your vision and your why. Decide your next smallest step. You don't need to solve everything at once. You just need to keep moving forward, one decision at a time. Reflection questions. What situations typically challenge my resilience? How do I currently react when things go wrong? What thought patterns hold me back in difficult moments? What are 3 tools I can use to regulate myself when I feel overwhelmed? Who are the people I can lean on during moments of doubt? Action step. Pick one resilience practice this week. Deep breathing each morning. Journaling your thoughts when stressed. Moving your body daily. Rewriting negative thoughts into empowering beliefs. Calling a friend when you're stuck. Track your experience. Notice how you feel before and after. You're not just surviving, you're training. Chapter 5. Redesigning your environment. You become what you surround yourself with. We tend to think of transformation as an inside job, shifting our mindset, breaking old habits, cultivating resilience. And it is. But there's another dimension that's just as powerful, and often ignored. Your environment. It's not just your mindset that shapes your identity. It's the people you interact with, the content you consume, the spaces you spend time in, and the conversations you hear every day. Your environment is a silent architect of your behavior. You could have the clearest vision in the world, the strongest willpower, and the best intentions, but if your surroundings reinforce the old you, they'll quietly pull you back. Reinvention doesn't only require inner change. It requires outer alignment. In this chapter, we'll reimagine your environment as a tool for transformation. The power of environmental design. We like to believe we make conscious choices. But research tells a different story. The majority of our behavior is driven by cues in our environment. If healthy food is visible, we're more likely to eat it. If our phone is within reach, we're more likely to scroll. If we spend time around ambitious people, we're more likely to take action. If we're surrounded by negativity, we're more likely to doubt ourselves. Your environment doesn't just influence your actions. It trains them. So ask yourself, is my current environment designed for who I was or who I'm becoming? Does it anchor me to my past or support my future? This isn't just about cleaning your room. It's about curating your life, redefining the people around you. Let's start with the human side of your environment, your circle. We become like the people we spend the most time with. Not just in habits, but in mindset, energy, expectations, and even ambition. This is called social mirroring. The people around you are either expanding your vision or shrinking it, celebrating your growth or resisting it, challenging you to rise or keeping you in place. Ask yourself, who are the 5 people I interact with most? What do they normalize, growth or stagnation? Do I feel energized or drained after time with them? Do they believe in the version of me I'm becoming? This doesn't mean you have to cut everyone off. But you do need to take inventory. Not all relationships deserve front-row seats in your reinvention. Creating relationship boundaries that support growth. As you evolve, some relationships will feel misaligned. Old dynamics may no longer serve you. That doesn't make anyone wrong. It just means your path is shifting. Boundaries are how you protect your energy and your future. Here's what healthy boundary setting might sound like. I'm focused on some big changes right now, so I'm limiting certain conversations. I care about you, but I need space to prioritize my mental health. I'm stepping into a new version of myself, and that means I may not be available in the same way. You don't owe anyone your emotional bandwidth, especially not if it costs you your transformation. Curating high-impact influences. If your current circle doesn't reflect the version of you you're stepping into, don't panic. You don't need 100 new friends. You need intentional exposure to elevated energy. Start with proximity to possibility. Read books written by people who've done what you want to do. Follow creators and thought leaders who speak life into your vision. Listen to podcasts that expand your mindset. Join online or in-person communities of people pursuing similar growth. Even virtual mentors can rewire your identity. You may not know them personally, but their influence plants seeds. Their beliefs become your beliefs. Their confidence becomes contagious. Physical space as a reflection of identity. Now, let's zoom in on your physical environment. Your home, workspace, and daily surroundings. These spaces aren't just backdrops. They're mirrors. They reflect and reinforce who you believe you are. If you want to become someone focused, grounded, creative, or intentional, your space should support that. Questions to explore. Does my environment energize or deplete me? Are there items in my space that represent my past, but not my future? Does my space reflect my values and goals? Even small changes can create big shifts. Clear out clutter that's emotionally heavy or no longer relevant. Designate a space for focused work or creative thinking. Add objects that symbolize your new identity. Books, vision boards, affirmations. Create beauty. Beauty is medicine for the mind. When your space aligns with your desired identity, it becomes a daily reminder of your transformation. Digital detox. Cleaning the invisible clutter. Your digital world is your environment. What you consume daily, through your phone, your feeds, your inbox, shapes your mood, focus, and even your self-worth. Take inventory. Who are you following, and why? What kind of content fills your feed? Are your notifications helpful, or hijacking your focus? Is your digital world curated by intention or habit? Action steps. Unfollow accounts that drain or distract you. Mute conversations that pull you into old narratives. Organize your desktop, email, and apps to reduce chaos. Set screen time limits, or better yet, create device-free windows during the day. Don't just declutter your home. Declutter your mind. Designing trigger spaces for new habits. Want to reinforce a new behavior? Give it a physical home. This is called environmental anchoring, designing specific areas that cue specific actions. Want to write more? Set up a writing corner with a clear desk, a candle, a notebook, and soft light. Want to meditate daily? Lay out a cushion and keep a journal nearby. Want to prioritize movement? Leave your yoga mat unrolled. Place your running shoes by the door. When your space supports the behavior becomes more natural. Energy is contagious. Protect yours. You've probably felt it before. After a conversation, a meeting, or scrolling for too long, your body tenses. Your mind feels heavy. Exhausted, but you didn't do anything. That's energetic clutter. And it's real. The more you grow, the more sensitive you'll become to energy, yours and others. It's not woo-woo. It's biology. Your nervous system is always scanning for safety, alignment, and truth. Protect your energy like you would protect your home. You don't leave the door open for anyone to walk through. You shouldn't do that with your mental space either. When you can't change the environment, yet. What if your current reality doesn't allow you to redesign everything? Maybe you live with people who don't get it. Maybe you work in a toxic space. Maybe your finances limit you. Start small. Control what you can. Create pockets of space that feel like yours, a corner, a drawer, a folder of affirming notes. Use headphones to block out noise. Journal to reset when the world feels chaotic. Start your day with something that reconnects you to you, even if it's 5 minutes. You don't need total control to create intentional pockets of power. The smallest sanctuary can change everything. Letting go of the familiar to step into the future. Redesigning your environment often means letting go of old friends, old spaces, old digital habits, and old comforts. Letting go feels like loss. But in truth, it's space-making. You're not rejecting your past. You're releasing it to make room for what's next. You cannot carry the weight of who you were and still rise into who you're becoming. Reflection questions. Who are the 5 people I spend the most time with? Do they align with my vision? What areas of my physical space feel like my future? What feels like my past? What digital habits or content are distracting me from my growth? Where in my life can I create a pocket of space that honors the person I'm becoming? What am I willing to let go of, even if it's uncomfortable, to make room for something greater? Action step. Pick one area of your environment to upgrade this week. 1 drawer. 1 digital feed. 1 conversation boundary. 1 room or workspace. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for alignment. Then pay attention to how it shifts your energy. Chapter 6. Embodying the future you. At some point in your transformation journey, there comes a shift. A moment when you stop planning, preparing, and vision boarding, and start being. You stop saying, I want to become. And you start saying, I am. You stop chasing the future version of yourself as if they're far away. You begin acting, speaking, moving, and choosing as that version of you now. This is the chapter where change stops being theory and becomes your lived identity. Because if reinvention stays in your head, it dies in your habits. This is about embodiment. What it means to embody your future self. Embodying your future self is not about faking it. It's not pretending to be someone you're not. It's the opposite. It's about recognizing that the version of you you've been dreaming about, that confident, focused, magnetic, powerful version, already exists inside you. They've just been buried under years of survival mode, self-doubt, and social conditioning. You don't need to become someone new. You need to reveal who you've always been beneath who you were taught to be. Embodiment means taking that vision off the paper and putting it into your posture, your voice, your presence, your choices. Why identity precedes action? Most people think identity comes after change. They think, once I've worked out for 60 days, then I'll be someone who's disciplined. Once I've launched the business, I'll feel like a real entrepreneur. Once I lose the weight, I'll finally be confident. But it doesn't work like that. Identity precedes action. The fastest way to become your future self is to start making decisions as if you already are them. Let's flip the script. Instead of, I'm trying to build confidence, I am a confident person, and I'm strengthening that muscle. Instead of, I hope I can become consistent, I am someone who shows up daily for what matters. Instead of, maybe one day I'll be a leader, I am a leader in how I speak, think, and choose, even if no one sees it yet. When you identify as the future version of you, your actions will align. Not because you're forcing change, but because you're finally acting in alignment with the truth of who you are becoming. The power of acting as if, without faking it. There's a misunderstood phrase in personal growth, fake it till you make it. We're not here to fake anything, but we are here to practice acting as if. Here's the difference. Faking it means pretending to be someone you're not. Acting as if means showing up from the belief that who you want to become is already part of you, and you're choosing to strengthen that part on purpose. Ask yourself, how would the version of me I admire walk into this room? How would they speak up in this meeting? How would they respond to this challenge? What would they wear today? What boundaries would they enforce? You're not performing. You're practicing. You're rehearsing your next level in real time. Step into the body of your future self. Your body carries your identity. Think about it. Posture, expression, tone of voice, these all tell the world, and your subconscious, who you believe you are. A slouched posture with downcast eyes tells your brain, we're small. We don't belong. Stay invisible. But when you stand tall, relax your shoulders, look people in the eye, and move with intention, your body sends a very different message. We are safe. We are powerful. We belong here. This isn't just psychological. It's physiological. When you change your posture and breath, you change your brain chemistry, boosting confidence, clarity, and calm. Practice this. Before a difficult conversation or meeting, take 3 deep breaths. Stand tall. Feel your feet on the ground. Adopt open body language. Uncross your arms, uncurl your shoulders. Smile, not to please others, but to signal safety and warmth to your own nervous system. You don't have to be fearless. But when you move with power, your body begins to believe you are. Dress like the future you. What you wear is an extension of how you see yourself. No, you don't need to buy a new wardrobe or follow trends. But you do need to ask, does what I'm wearing reflect how I want to feel and who I want to be? Clothes carry energy. Certain outfits pull you into your power. Others pull you back into the past. Even your home clothes, your gym clothes, your no one will see me today clothes, they all count. Dress not for who you've been. Dress as the version of you who owns their presence, even if you're only showing up for you. It's not about impressing others. It's about expressing your identity. Speak your truth out loud. Your voice is your power. Many of us have been conditioned to shrink our voice, to be polite, avoid conflict, play small. But the future version of you speaks with clarity, conviction, and calm authority. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You need to be authentic. Practice. Speak slower. Rushing is a signal of nervousness. Eliminate filler words like just, I think, and sorry, especially when they're not necessary. Make eye contact. Breathe. Pause. Speak your desires out loud. I am building my business. I am committed to my wellness. I am growing into a powerful leader. You're not just talking. You're reinforcing your transformation, one conversation at a time. Create rituals that anchor your identity. Embodying your new self isn't a one-time thing. The world will constantly try to pull you back into who you used to be. You need systems and reminders that pull you forward. Daily anchoring practices. Morning mantra. A phrase you say when you wake up that aligns with your identity. Power pose. A posture or gesture that activates your confidence. Wardrobe anchor. A piece of clothing or jewelry that reminds you of your reinvention. Vision moment. A 2-minute visualization of how you want to show up today. Nighttime review. Ask, did I act for my old self or my future self today? What can I shift tomorrow? These aren't about perfection. They're about reinforcement. Your identity is shaped by what you repeat. Letting go of past labels. You can't fully embody your future self if you're still clinging to old labels. I'm just not a confident person. I'm bad at commitment. I always mess things up. I'm not someone who follows through. These aren't truths. They're stories, narratives you've picked up through experiences, culture, and repetition. And here's the good news. You can choose new stories. But first, you have to release the ones that no longer serve you. Write down every identity label that feels outdated. Then rewrite it. Old, I'm always the shy one. New, I am grounded, observant, and powerful when I choose to speak. Old, I'm inconsistent. New, I am building daily trust with myself. You're not erasing your past. You're redefining who you are from this moment forward. What if people don't understand the new you? As you embody your future self, some people will resist your growth. They may feel threatened. They may make fun of your new habits. They may try to pull you back into old dynamics. This is not about you. This is about their comfort zone. Growth makes people uncomfortable when it highlights their own stagnation. Let them go if you need to. Or let them stay, but don't shrink to make them feel safe. You are not responsible for protecting someone else's illusion of who you used to be. You have full permission to evolve out loud. Reflection questions. What does my future self feel like to be around? How would they walk, speak, dress, and make decisions today? What habits or behaviors do I need to embody now, not later? What past labels or roles do I need to release? Where in my life am I still acting like the old me out of habit, fear, or comfort? Action step. Pick one daily ritual to embody your future self starting tomorrow. Choose one of the following or create your own. Set a morning affirmation. I am becoming the most powerful version of me. Create a power outfit for key days. Practice 2 minutes of visualizing your future self each morning. Eliminate one old identity statement and replace it with a new one. Practice for 7 days. Track your energy, your posture, your choices. You'll be surprised how fast embodiment creates momentum. Chapter 7. Sustaining momentum and navigating setbacks. Reinvention is not a one-time spark, it's a sustained fire. Anyone can feel inspired for a day, a week, even a month. But true transformation happens when you keep going. Long after the motivation fades, after the novelty wears off, and especially after you stumble. This chapter is about what happens after the breakthrough. When reality sets in. When old habits creep back. When your progress plateaus. When the path gets boring, lonely, or hard. Most people stop here. But not you. Because you understand something deeper now. Reinvention isn't a sprint. It's a way of living. And the real magic lies in learning how to keep your momentum alive, and how to rise quickly when you fall. Why momentum matters more than motivation. Motivation is emotional. It's fleeting. It's like the wind, powerful when it shows up, but unreliable. Momentum, on the other hand, is mechanical. It's built through rhythm, repetition, and movement. Once you have it, it starts to work for you. Think of a flywheel. At first, it takes a huge effort to get it turning. But with each push, it picks up speed. Eventually, it moves on its own momentum. Your only job is to keep it going. Your reinvention is the same. The goal is not to always feel inspired. The goal is to keep showing up, so that inspiration becomes optional, not essential. The plateau. When progress feels invisible. One of the most dangerous phases of transformation is the plateau, that stretch of time where it feels like nothing's happening. You're doing the work. You're staying consistent. But there's no big payoff. No visible reward. This is where many people give up, not because they failed, but because they mistook quiet progress for no progress. Here's what you must remember. Growth often happens underground, long before it shows on the surface. Just like seeds sprout roots before stems, your new identity is being built in silence, in repetition, in the moments no one sees. This is not stagnation. It's incubation. Keep going. Build rituals, not routines. Routines are helpful, but they can feel mechanical, robotic, like chores. Rituals, on the other hand, are infused with intention. They're acts of identity, sacred commitments to your becoming. For example, a morning routine becomes a ritual of self-activation when you add breathwork, affirmation, or journaling. A daily walk becomes a ritual of reconnection when you use it to reflect or listen to inspiring content. A workout becomes a ritual of resilience when you dedicate it to the future version of you. The difference isn't in what you do. It's in how you relate to what you do. When your actions are infused with meaning, you're more likely to keep showing up. Track the invisible wins. One of the reasons people quit is because they don't see the wins they're making. They track pounds lost, dollars earned, followers gained, but they miss the internal shifts. So start tracking those too. Today, I said no when I used to say yes. I noticed a trigger and paused instead of reacting. I spoke my truth even though it was scary. I returned to my routine after a hard day. These aren't small things. They are evidence of transformation. Document your wins. Celebrate the shifts no one else sees. Your identity is built one micro-victory at a time. Anticipate resistance. It's not a sign to stop. Every time you level up, you will meet resistance. Not because you're weak, but because you're breaking patterns that have kept you safe for years. Your nervous system doesn't care about success. It cares about familiarity. So when you start waking up earlier, eating differently, showing up with confidence, or claiming space, you'll feel internal pushback. Thoughts like, "This is too much. Who do you think you are? You're not ready. Let's just go back to the old way." Don't mistake this for failure. It's proof that you're shifting. Learn to expect resistance like a workout expects soreness. It's a byproduct of expansion. Let it show up, and keep moving anyway. The art of the reset. What to do when you slip. You will fall off track. Everyone does. The difference between those who transform and those who stay stuck is this. Resilient people reset quickly. They don't spiral. They don't shame themselves. They don't wait until Monday, next month, or the new year. They return to the path, without drama. When you slip, notice it. Without judgment. Name it. I slipped. That's okay. Normalize it. This is part of the process. Reconnect. Read your vision. Remind yourself why you started. Recommit. Choose your next step immediately. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is the bounce-back rate. The faster you return, the more resilient you become. When you feel like giving up, you'll have days when you want to quit, when it all feels pointless, when the old life calls you back like a warm bed on a cold morning. In those moments, don't rely on willpower. Rely on reminders. Read your why out loud. Look at a picture of who you used to be, and remember why you're not going back. Visualize your future self looking at you with gratitude. Text a friend who believes in your vision. Say this out loud. This is hard, but I'm harder. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply stay in the game one more day. Sustainability over intensity. Many people burn out because they sprint at the beginning of their reinvention. They change everything at once. They go hard, and then crash. The truth is, slow, consistent action outperforms intense bursts every time. Reinvention is not about dramatic overhauls. It's about choosing progress over perfection, energy over exhaustion, longevity over intensity. So instead of asking, what's the fastest way to transform? Ask, what's the most sustainable way for me to keep evolving? Because it's not about how fast you rise. It's about how long you stay elevated. Create a support system that holds you. You weren't meant to do this alone. Transformation requires community. People who hold you to your vision when you forget. Who celebrate your small wins. Who reflect back your growth. Surround yourself with accountability partners, someone to check in with regularly. Mentors or coaches, people who've walked the path you're on. Growth-minded friends, those who want to rise with you. And if no one around you fits that right now, seek it out. Online groups, masterminds, forums, courses. There are people out there walking the same road. Don't underestimate how much easier this becomes when someone simply says, "Keep going, I see you." Recalibrate regularly. Reinvention is not a straight line. What worked at the beginning may not work forever. Your systems, strategies, and habits must evolve as you do. Schedule monthly check-ins with yourself. What's working? What's not? Where am I feeling energized? Where am I forcing something that's not aligned anymore? What can I simplify? What do I need to let go of? Give yourself permission to refine, not because you failed, but because you've outgrown certain tools. Success is not static. Neither is your path. Reflection questions. What habits or rituals keep me grounded during low motivation days? How do I typically respond when I hit a setback, and how can I respond differently? What invisible wins have I overlooked in my journey? Who can I lean on when I feel like quitting? What systems or rhythms can I put in place to make progress feel more automatic? Action step. Create your reset plan this week. Write down 3 signs that you're slipping or losing momentum. 3 tools that help you reconnect: vision, journaling, breathwork, etc. 1 person you can message when you need support. 1 action that gets you back into alignment, even for 5 minutes. Post this plan somewhere visible. Let it be your lifeline when the storm comes. Chapter 8. The Integration of Identity. There is a moment in every transformation where something clicks. Not in a loud, fireworks kind of way, but quietly, deeply, like the final piece of a puzzle sliding into place. It doesn't feel like effort anymore. It feels like truth. You are no longer trying to become someone. You simply are. This chapter is about that sacred shift, the integration of identity, where your vision stops being a future fantasy and becomes your present state, where you stop performing a new self and start embodying it as your natural way of being, where reinvention stops being a practice and becomes who you are. From effort to essence. Early in the journey, change requires effort. Everything is conscious. You build routines, adopt new language, shift your habits, override doubt. This phase is necessary. But it's not permanent. Eventually, through repetition and alignment, you enter a new territory, not of discipline, but of embodiment. You don't try to be confident. You are. You don't remind yourself to act with integrity. It's how you move. You don't force yourself to show up. You naturally show up because you no longer tolerate the version of you who hides. This is integration. What is identity integration? Integration happens when your thoughts, actions, and emotions all align with your new identity. There's no gap between what you want to be and how you live. There's no performance, no pretending. You no longer aspire to be the person. You've become them. You've dissolved the old narrative that said, "I'm trying. I hope I can. One day I will," and replaced it with, "I am. This is who I am now. This is how I move in the world." But to fully integrate, you must first confront what's left of your old identity, saying goodbye to the old you. Most people assume that becoming someone new is about adding things, new habits, new routines, new ideas. But reinvention is just as much about what you release. You have to say goodbye to identities that kept you small. The over-apologizer, the procrastinator, the nice version who never speaks up, the rebel who sabotages any structure, the version of you built only for survival. And the truth is, letting go hurts. Even when it's a version of you that limited you, it was still you. It kept you safe. It got you here. So say thank you, honor it, and then gently let it go. Your future cannot bloom in the soil of your past. Conscious language, how the new you speaks. Language is the bridge between belief and behavior. What you say becomes what you reinforce. If you want to integrate a new identity, you must speak from it. Let's shift your language. I always mess this up. I'm learning to lead with clarity. I'm not good at discipline. I'm becoming someone who honors their time. I'm still trying. I'm evolving. Even subtle changes in language create massive shifts in energy. When you speak your identity aloud, your subconscious hears it, and your actions begin to follow. Alignment over appearance. In a world obsessed with image, it's easy to think reinvention is about looking the part. But true integration has nothing to do with how others perceive you, and everything to do with how deeply your life aligns with your internal truth. Ask yourself, do my values show up in my calendar? Does my energy match the person I claim to be? Do I behave with integrity when no one's watching? The integrated self doesn't perform. They live. They make decisions that match their deepest truth, even when it's inconvenient. They lead themselves first, and trust that the world will catch up. The identity feedback loop. Here's the most important thing to understand about integrated identity. Every time you act like your future self, you reinforce that identity. And every time you don't, you reinforce the old one. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. When you wake up early even when you don't want to, set a boundary that feels scary but true. Choose nourishment over numbness. Speak up in the room you used to shrink in. You are proving to your brain, your body, and your soul, this is who I am now. That proof compounds. And eventually, you no longer have to remind yourself, you believe it. Dealing with the echoes of the old you. Even after integration begins, the old self doesn't disappear quietly. There will be moments when you fall back into old habits out of fatigue. People from your past trigger old roles. Doubt creeps in during times of uncertainty. This is normal. Your job is not to eradicate the old voice, it's to stop letting it drive. You might still hear, "Are you sure you can do this?" But now, you answer, "Yes. And I've already begun." The old voice loses power every time you respond with your new identity. Consistency. The silent proof of change. You don't need to announce your transformation. You don't need to convince anyone. When your actions match your words consistently, people will feel the shift. They'll say, "You seem different. You're so grounded lately. You have this energy now." But most importantly, you'll feel it. And it won't be flashy. It will feel calm, certain, real. That's the deepest form of power, embodied consistency. When others don't recognize the new you, there will be people in your life who don't understand or accept your transformation. Not everyone wants you to grow. Not because they're bad people, but because your growth reflects what they haven't chosen yet. You might hear, "You've changed." Good. "You're different now." Correct. "I liked the old you better." They liked who you were for them. You are not obligated to shrink to fit their comfort. You can love them and evolve without them. Identity anchors. Staying aligned in daily life. Integration isn't just a mental or emotional shift. It needs anchors in your physical reality. Examples of identity anchors. Mantras. Short phrases that reinforce who you are. I move with intention. I lead with clarity. I am aligned, even when unseen. Visual cues. A vision board, a note on your mirror, a symbolic object on your desk. Sacred time. A daily ritual that connects you to your new self. Journaling, meditation, movement, creative work. Aligned choices. How you respond to daily micro-decisions. Food, boundaries, rest, conversations. These are not random. They are rituals of remembering. They keep you rooted in who you've become, even when the world tries to pull you back. You no longer need to prove, only to proceed. When you integrate your new identity, you stop seeking validation. You stop trying to prove you're worthy. You stop needing applause for every move. You no longer live for the external. You live from the internal. This is freedom. You are not seeking status. You are standing in self-certainty. Reflection questions. What beliefs, behaviors, or labels from my past self have I fully outgrown? How do I speak to myself, out loud and internally, and does it reflect who I am becoming? What daily actions reinforce my new identity? Where am I still performing or seeking approval instead of standing in truth? What would it look like to live, speak, and choose as the integrated version of me? Action step. This week, choose one identity anchor to integrate into your daily life. Ideas. A new morning mantra. A physical reminder, ring, bracelet, sticky note. A 10-minute daily ritual that connects you to your future self. A playlist that evokes the energy of who you're becoming. A not anymore list of behaviors you're done with. Track how you feel when you use that anchor. Let it become a sacred moment of alignment, not obligation. Chapter 9. Legacy and Leadership. You didn't come here just to change your life. You came to change lives, whether you realize it yet or not. Reinvention is deeply personal. It starts within. It's about healing, evolving, and becoming. But once you integrate your new identity, something profound begins to happen. You realize that your transformation isn't just for you. It's for every person who will be inspired, empowered, and uplifted because you had the courage to rise. It's for the future you'll shape, not only for yourself, but for the people, communities, and generations your choices will touch. This chapter is about turning personal growth into collective elevation. It's about stepping into your next evolution, not just as a person, but as a leader and legacy builder. Legacy begins with who you choose to be. When most people hear the word legacy, they think of fame, fortune, something you leave behind when you die. But legacy isn't about money or monuments. It's about who you are while you're alive. It's the way you show up, the way you speak to others, the decisions you make when no one is watching, the values you stand for, the impact you leave in every room, every conversation, every relationship. Your legacy begins the moment you stop living just for yourself and start living as someone who knows their life is a message. Ask yourself, what do I want people to feel after they've interacted with me? What values do I want to embody, regardless of outcome? What would I want the story of my life to teach others? You don't have to wait until you arrive to build legacy. You're creating it right now. The shift from self-focus to contribution. In the early stages of reinvention, it's natural and necessary to focus on yourself. You're healing, unlearning, rebuilding, setting boundaries, prioritizing your needs for the first time in years. But as your foundation strengthens, a new calling starts to emerge. How can I serve? Not from burnout, not from obligation, but from overflow, from fullness, from the desire to elevate others the way you've elevated yourself. This is where leadership begins, not with a title, but with intention. Leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about being in service. You are a mirror for possibility. Whether you know it or not, people are watching you. They see how you carry yourself. They hear the words you choose. They notice your consistency, your growth, your peace. And without saying a word, you become a mirror. A reflection of what's possible. Your courage gives others permission. Your truth gives others language. Your evolution gives others hope. When you live authentically, you unconsciously teach others that they can too. You don't have to lead a movement to change lives. Sometimes, simply being your full self is the most powerful form of leadership. The ripple effect of reinvention. Every decision you make ripples outward. When you break a toxic cycle, your children inherit a different standard of love. When you start a business from your passion, you create inspiration for someone else to follow theirs. When you choose to heal instead of hide, your friends feel safe doing the same. You never know who is being changed just by watching you transform. This is legacy. When your personal choices create collective elevation. Redefining leadership. From authority to authenticity. We've been conditioned to think of leadership as charisma, control, having all the answers. But real leadership isn't about commanding others, it's about embodying truth. Let go of the myth that you have to be perfect to lead. The world doesn't need more experts. It needs more examples. People don't follow the one with the loudest voice. They follow the one who lives with the most alignment. You become a leader the moment you stop performing and start being real, even when it's vulnerable. Even when it's messy. Especially then. Your imperfections aren't disqualifications. They're portals to connection. You don't need a platform to lead. We live in an era where impact is often measured in followers, likes, and personal brands. But your most important leadership happens off-camera. The way you listen to your partner. The encouragement you give a friend in transition. The example you set for your team. The boundaries you hold with grace. The way you walk into a room and bring peace instead of pressure. These are legacy moments. Quiet but powerful. Unseen but unforgettable. You don't need a platform. You need presence. From reinvention to responsibility. As you grow, your influence expands. Not just in reach, but in responsibility. Because when you know better, you lead differently. You speak differently. You understand the weight of your words. Responsibility is not a burden, it's an honor. It means being mindful of your energy. Leading from example, not ego. Using your voice to elevate, not manipulate. Asking, who else rises when I do? When you operate from responsibility instead of validation, your leadership becomes timeless. Uplifting others on the path. Legacy isn't just about the path you walk, it's about who you bring with you. True leaders elevate others. They mentor. They share knowledge freely. They amplify unheard voices. They build bridges instead of barriers. They make room at the table and pull up extra chairs. Ask yourself, who can I support with what I've learned? Who is behind me on the path that I can guide? Where can I give without expecting something in return? Reinvention reaches its highest form when it becomes reciprocal, when your rising helps someone else rise too. Your story becomes someone else's survival guide. You may not think your story matters, but somewhere out there is someone going through what you've already overcome. Your journey, your healing, your failures, your resilience, is the very thing that will give someone else the strength to keep going. Don't underestimate the power of your truth. You don't have to be polished or perfect. You just have to be honest. Share your story. Even if your voice shakes. Even if it's still unfolding. Because when you speak from your scars, not your wounds, you create medicine for others. Legacy is lived, not left. Most people think legacy is what happens after they're gone. But here's the truth. Your legacy is built every time you choose alignment over approval. It's built when you walk your talk, keep your word, lead with love, share your lessons, break the cycle, rewrite the story, rise again and again. Legacy isn't something you leave behind. It's something you live forward. Reflection questions. What kind of impact do I want to have on the people around me? Today, not just someday. What values do I want to embody as a leader in my life? How does my daily behavior reflect or contradict the legacy I want to leave? Who has helped me on my journey? And how can I pay that forward? What parts of my story could serve others if I shared them? Action step. Choose one way to lead from where you are this week. Options. Mentor someone who's one step behind you. Share a story you've been afraid to tell, but know could inspire. Offer guidance or support without needing recognition. Write your leadership code, a short list of principles that define how you lead yourself and others. Ask someone, "How can I support you right now?" Big or small, what matters is intention. Start living your leadership. Your legacy is built one aligned act at a time.